What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. Just grinding out these videos, trying to keep my mind off my foot, which is killing me. It is feeling 1% better today, so maybe I'll be able to sleep by Wednesday or Thursday of next week. I plan to live stream tonight, so if you've got nothing going on, I'd love to hang out with you and help keep my mind off the searing pain in my big toe that is self-inflicted, of course. Now, we together, viewers of my videos, we've known for a long time that games media doesn't care about video games. They care about pushing a political ideology or pushing their own individual beliefs or whatever the case may be. But video games are merely the vehicle that games journalism has attached itself to these days, right? Just like how many of these glorified bloggers say and cover stories about how the deep meaning of this or that and whatever movie that you might be trying to watch, or how a movie doesn't have enough this or enough that. These people are never satisfied. They go through life in a perpetual state of unhappiness and disgust, and they will end their lives in that manner too, I can imagine. So I think the best thing we can do is point and laugh. And this morning, Jason Schreier of Kotaku admitted publicly what we've already all known. I'm going to go through that right now, as well as the hilarious article that he wrote, riding the CD Projekt Red and the Cyberpunk 2077 gamer baiting and hate baiting articles that have been coming out. Now, I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, and you aren't subscribed, by the way, make sure you do that. And make sure you have notifications turned on. I know I put out videos every day at like 1, 4, and 7 most days, but it helps to get notifications every once in a while, and that'll be my last bit. So, Schreier puts out an article. Spoke to CD Projekt Red boss Marcin Nowinski this week at Cyberpunk about Cyberpunk crunch controversies over trans issues, GOG layoffs, and a bunch of other things. All the things that we want to know from the leader of a company that's putting out probably the biggest game in a decade. This is what people want to know. Not like, how did they line things up with Keanu Reeves? How has the engine evolved? You know, what kind of customization? Will there be any microtransactions? No. That's not what gamers care about. Now, the article itself, which we'll talk about, is hilarious. But also, just Jason's public outing himself here. And of course, don't contact him because he blocks you anyway. But also, you know, this is where we point and laugh. But I disavow anybody publicly roasting him, because it just doesn't serve any purpose. We know together what's going on here. First reply. You can't do anything anymore without oversensitive people getting triggered, quote. Droves of oversensitive triggered people who don't understand the irony of that at all, and who don't listen to the interview, in which I agree with Nowinski that we should all wait to judge until we can play the game and see the context, although, as I pointed out, CDPR and GOG's recent history of gaffes makes it very fair to be skeptical. And what gaffes are they talking about? 2 tweets by a community manager who made a "did you just assume my gender" joke. That's it. People think that there's like this deep rooted controversy that we don't know about. No, that's it. Oh, by the way, for those of you that don't know, when that person was fired from CD Projekt Red over the controversy, your boy hired him. Just saying. Now, we see later on, do you usually have this amount of whiny man babies in the mentions? I think the words CDPR and trans are in the same sentence are good at fishing on a lot of cretins. No. I think Jason Schreier is. I think what happens is when you write this article, you write it to bait gamers. Okay? I will link the archived link in this video, because I don't want to give... I'm hoping that my brethren and sisterin, I don't know what the... Brethren's probably universal, right? My cohorts here in the commentary community will start to join me in only linking archives, because this is what they want. They bait us, and then they want commentators to cover it so that droves of people flock to their website to leave angry comments. I'm asking, we need to change our reaction to that. We need to enjoy the archive. We need to just have the conversation here and laugh at them. We don't need to reward their bad behavior. Dustpan replies, it would have been nice to get information on relevant things like the scope of the game, size of the world, etc. Good to hear you made solid use of your interview time. Eye roll. 76 favorites, by the way. Jason Schreier replies, if you want to read interviews and ask questions about how many polygons will be in an upcoming video game, there are plenty of other websites out there for you. I'll take this moment to mention exclusivelygames.com. This was our first year covering E3. We were really late to the game, but it seems like people really responded well to the E3 coverage. So I promise that we're going to triple down on that next year, as well as Gamescom and QuakeCon and all that kind of stuff. I'm glad to see the public really responded well to that. People like reading about, the straight news without being told that they're bad. Yeah, I feel like all of E3 has been front-loaded with all these cool details, not to mention this is the head of the company, possibly the least positioned to talk about granular details about the game scope and levels. Now, he is correct in saying that. The CEO, the president, doesn't really know how the sausage is made. But, again, we're saying, hey, if you want to read about video games, go somewhere else. And I think people should. I mean, I think that we've built a pretty nice little website here, exclusivelygames.com, where we've covered a lot about E3 and nothing about how you are a bad person. Anyway, CD Projekt Red boss again promises that Cyberpunk devs won't have to crunch. At this point, the crunch conversation, as I've talked about before, I'm over it. If you're a game developer, you already know that crunch exists, okay? So if you go into it knowing that will happen, either you're okay with it, which I honestly believe the overwhelming majority of developers are, or I don't necessarily feel that bad for you. Following an impressive showcase of Cyberpunk 2077, this week at E3 in LA, CD Projekt Red boss Marcin Iwinski. Why do you give freaking Schreier time, dude? Marcin, holla at your boy, all right? I don't care about this crap, all right? Join Kotaku Split Screen to talk about crunch, the recent controversy over trans issues, and whether GOG is in trouble. A few weeks ago, CD Projekt Red had reached out to talk about their non-mandatory crunch policies on Cyberpunk, promising that they want to avoid the brutal periods of overtime the staff had to face in the end of the development of Witcher 3. This week, they wanted to follow up. So a couple of days after watching Cyberpunk's impressive new hour-long demo, and the company showed off in different ways in which one mission can be tackled, I met with Iwinski for a 25-minute interview about different topics. He said, again, some interesting things about crunch, and I again say that we'd be keeping an eye out and hold him to it. Oh, yeah. Everyone's worried what Kotaku says. Here's a brief excerpt from our conversation. If I'm a designer at CD Projekt Red and I say, you know what, I have kids, I have a family, and I'm going to work from 10 to 6 every day, and that's that until the very end. Am I going to be okay with that? And Iwinski says, yes. By the way, Jason says, so you've committed to that. And Iwinski says, we've committed to that already. Jason says, that's good to hear, because oftentimes I feel like there's some social pressures and subtle pressures. And Iwinski says, we can never be 200% sure that there won't be some pressure, but it's actually our management's work to make people are okay with that. Make sure people are okay with that. Here's the thing. I run a business. I've run my own business for, 6 or 7 years. And I also managed a team of about 30 people for 7 years before that. There is no chance I would hire somebody who came in and said, look, I can only work 10 to 6 and that's it because I've got other things that are important to me. Sorry, you're not getting hired. I understand work-life balance, but go work at Walmart then, where you'll probably still have to work overtime in the Christmas season. But I'm saying that's not how the world works. You are the employee. You don't get to dictate that. You could take a less flexible job. Go work at Arby's, Wendy's. Actually, go work at a bank. They close early. Find a career that fits the work-life balance you want. Don't force it on an industry that obviously doesn't. I actually glad to see you guys announce the game for April 2020 because I heard from some people, we're going for 2019, that it's unrealistic. What you guys are going to have to do to ourselves is one of the reasons you guys delayed it. Laughs. You're digging way too deep, Jason. Jason laughs. That's my job. Iwinski, the production plans are discussed with people And of course, we had a certain set date because, we could develop every single game we've been developing endlessly because there's always something we can tweak and make better. So setting a date is important. It's a lot of planning. Jason say, is it fair to say you guys wanted to hit the target and make sure people didn't have to overwork themselves to make it? Nowinski laughs. It's a direct result of our production planning, and we're trying to make it realistic. And it's not a ginormous burden on the team. Why we've been making this public commitment is because we really care about the people that are making the game. It's not me coding personally or me painting somebody. It's a super talented folks that decided to join us. And I want to make sure that they feel taken care of and respected. Well, okay. Top comment here. I don't understand the obsession we have with ensuring that no crunch happens in gaming studios. Every high-pressure job has some level of crunch. I've had a few months of it every year as an auditor. Expecting zero crunch from a job is foolish to me. That's exactly right. Policemen crunch, firemen crunch, people in the military crunch, tax auditors crunch. Anybody who's worked any job ever has probably had to work overtime. The reason is people like to treat the gaming industry like it's any different than any one of us who works a normal job that has to work overtime sometime. My wife works in a laboratory and has been on mandatory overtime for the past 4 weeks. Why? Because this time of year, it's busy. It happens every year. We plan around it. I get to make more videos. I get to eat out more often, which is probably not a good idea. But that's just the way it is. I mean, if you want to just dictate your own hours, then start your own business. Then don't rely on somebody else to be looking out for you all the time. But of course, as we know, Kotaku doesn't really care about video games. They only use it as a vehicle to push their ideologies and their opinions about how the world should work. And as all of you already know, nobody cares what Jason Schreier thinks about how the world should work. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you do, remember to leave a like on it, drop a comment down below, and I look forward to seeing you on tonight's live stream.